A guy typed out a business plan in the passenger seat of a beat-up car while his wife drove cross-country. 30 years later, that company makes over $1 million every single minute. Not from one viral product. Not from some genius invention. From a strategy so ruthless, it destroyed entire industries and rebuilt the economy around itself. This is the story of how Jeff Bezos turned an online bookstore into a $2 trillion empire that controls what you buy, how you buy it, and increasingly, every aspect of your life. And just when the government started asking questions, he walked away like it was all part of the plan. Albuquerque, 1964. A teenage mom working as a secretary gives birth to a kid who will eventually make it possible for you to order anything at 3 a.m. with one click. His biological father was a circus performer who disappeared before the kid could walk. But a Cuban immigrant named Mike Bezos married the mom, adopted the boy, and gave him a new last name. Jeff Bezos, the origin story writes itself. Adopted kid. Immigrant family. America. You know the drill. Even as a kid, Jeff was weird. Not bad weird. Ambitious weird. The kind of kid who aces every test and stares at the ceiling, muttering about space colonies. At his high school graduation, he gave a speech about building hotels and amusement parks in orbit. Everyone clapped politely while probably wondering if this kid was a genius or just unhinged. Turns out, both. He went to Princeton. Double majored in electrical engineering and computer science because, apparently, picking one way to dominate the world was not enough. Graduated top of his class. But he wasn't the cool genius. He was the intense genius. The kind who ran on pure logic, too much caffeine, and an uncomfortable level of ambition. After college, he did the safe thing. Bounced around high-paying jobs. Wall Street, finance, a telecom startup that went nowhere. Then he landed at D.E. Shaw, a hedge fund that hired brilliantly weird people to play chess with financial markets. Bezos shot up to senior VP by 30. That's where he met Mackenzie Tuttle. Smart, sharp, willing to marry a guy who thought spreadsheets were romantic. They got engaged 3 months after meeting. Everything was going according to plan. Good job. Good money. Good life. And then one number changed everything. Bezos saw a report that said the internet was growing at 2,300% per year. Not 23%, 2,300. This wasn't a trend. This was a tidal wave. And Jeff had just realized he was standing on the beach. So he did what any good analyst does. He made a list. 20 different internet business ideas. Online music. Online clothes. Online pet food. But one idea kept pulling him back. Books. Why books? Because they were perfect. Millions of titles. Easy to ship. Already standardized. Books were the gateway drug to e-commerce. Here's the problem. Jeff had a great job at a prestigious Wall Street firm. Money. Respect. Security. So when he told his boss he was quitting to sell books on the internet, his boss said something reasonable. That sounds like a great idea for someone who doesn't already have a good job. Most people would have listened. Jeff didn't. He quit. Convinced Mackenzie to quit too. Packed everything into their beat-up Chevy Blazer and started driving from New York to Seattle. And while Mackenzie drove, Jeff sat in the passenger seat typing the Amazon business plan on his laptop. Somewhere between cornfields and truck stops, the world's largest retailer was being written at 65 miles per hour. But it almost wasn't called Amazon. Jeff's first pick was Cadabra. Like abracadabra. Until his lawyer heard it as cadaver. Not great for selling cookbooks. Then he liked Relentless. Loved it so much he bought the domain. You can still type Relentless. Com today and it'll redirect to Amazon. Try it. But he settled on Amazon because it started with I, so it would show up first in alphabetical lists. And because it was the biggest river in the world. Jeff didn't want a bookstore. He wanted the everything store. He just wasn't telling anyone yet. Summer 1994. Bezos officially founded Amazon with 10 grand from his parents. Money that came straight from their retirement fund. His office was a garage. His desk was a door bolted to 2x4s. Not because it looked cool. Because it was cheap. Every dollar saved was a dollar for growth. In July 1995, the website went live. The first order? A technical book about artificial intelligence. Not a bestseller, but it was a start. Then more orders came, and more. In the early days, Bezos would ring a bell for every sale. Until they were getting so many orders, the bell never stopped. Within weeks, they had customers in all 50 states and over 40 countries. Jeff had tapped into something deeper than online shopping. He was selling time, convenience, access, and people were addicted. His philosophy was simple, yet big fast. There was no time for polish, just speed. Code was written by people running on no sleep. Orders were packed by employees still learning the software. Mistakes happened constantly. One textbook got listed for $23 million by accident. But perfection wasn't the goal. Speed was everything. In 1997, Amazon went public. The company wasn't profitable. Wall Street wasn't convinced it ever would be. One analyst called it Amazon toast. But Bezos had a message for investors. Think long-term. The people who believed him would become extremely rich. Before we go any deeper into how Bezos built this empire, if you're starting to see that Amazon wasn't luck, it was strategy, hit that subscribe button for Money Trap channel. We break down how empires are actually built, the systems that create wealth, and the patterns most people never see. No hype, just the truth about how power works. Let's keep going. Around this time, Bezos launched something that would define Amazon forever: customer reviews. Most retailers thought letting customers trash products on your own website was insane. But Bezos believed transparency built trust, and he was right. People didn't just buy. They browsed. They researched. They compared. That engagement created loyalty. From books, Amazon expanded to CDs, DVDs, toys, electronics. By the late 90s, it wasn't a bookstore anymore. It was becoming the everything store. Revenue exploded. Traffic surged. Wall Street fell in love. Amazon was the poster child of the new economy. But Bezos wasn't just focused on what they sold. He was obsessing over the infrastructure. In 2000, he made a move that seemed crazy. He launched Amazon Marketplace, inviting third-party sellers to compete directly on Amazon's platform. Why invite competition? Because Jeff saw the bigger picture. Marketplace let Amazon grow its catalog without holding inventory. More importantly, it gave Amazon data. Mountains of data about what customers wanted. That same year, Amazon started buying companies. Alexa Internet for analytics, Audible for audiobooks, eventually Zappos for shoes. Later, Kiva systems for warehouse robots. Because humans are slow and need bathroom breaks. Amazon wasn't just selling things. It was designing every step of how things got sold, shipped, and reviewed. But just when everything looked unstoppable, disaster hit. March 2000, the dot-com bubble burst. Tech stocks imploded. Amazon stock crashed from over $100 to $6. Headlines screamed Amazon bomb. Analysts predicted bankruptcy within months. Inside Amazon, the mood was dark. Layoffs came in waves. Side projects got axed. The vision of the everything store looked like expensive fantasy built on hype. For Bezos, the crash was personal. He convinced the world Amazon was inevitable. Now it was hanging by a thread. But instead of panicking, he went cold, surgical. He slashed spending, streamlined operations, cut teams. The door desk stayed. The luxury of experimentation was gone. This was Amazon's crucible. Most .com companies vanished. Pets.com, eToys, Webvan, gone. Amazon barely survived. But it did survive. And surviving transformed it into something more dangerous. By 2002, Bezos had a new obsession: build fast, scale harder, never get caught off guard again. First target, logistics. Amazon broke ground on massive fulfillment centers across the country. Inside these warehouses, chaos was replaced by precision. Conveyor belts, barcode scanners, robotic arms, software tracking every package, every person, every second. This wasn't e-commerce anymore. This was a logistical empire. Then came the kill shots. 2005, Amazon Prime. 2-day shipping, unlimited, no minimum order. To customers, it felt like convenience. To competitors, it looked like financial suicide. Analysts laughed. Free shipping on everything? They'll be dead in a year. But Bezos knew something they didn't. Prime wasn't a perk. It was a trap. And it worked. Customers who joined Prime didn't just stay. They transformed. They bought more. They stopped comparing prices. Customer loyalty wasn't earned. It was engineered. 2007, the Kindle. Amazon took aim at books again. But this time, they weren't changing where people bought books. They were changing what books were. The Kindle looked like a calculator married to a notepad. Critics called it clunky, but readers devoured it. Within years, independent bookstores shut down. Publishing models collapsed. Amazon had replaced paper with pixels. But the biggest revolution was happening behind the scenes. In the mid-2000s, Amazon's tech teams were drowning managing the company's growth. So they built something new. Modular infrastructure, flexible storage, elastic computing that could scale instantly. That internal project became Amazon Web Services. By 2006, Oz quietly launched to the public. Soon it was powering Netflix, NASA, the CIA, even parts of Walmart. Companies fighting Amazon's retail dominance were unknowingly paying rent to use Amazon's servers. Bezos hadn't just built a store. He built the backbone of the internet. Then things got controversial. Third-party sellers noticed something disturbing. Products that performed well would suddenly face eerily similar Amazon-branded competition. Same features. Lower prices. Better placement. Sellers started whispering, then shouting. Amazon was using internal data to clone successful businesses and crush the people who made them successful. Amazon denied wrongdoing, but to outsiders, it looked like a platform devouring its own ecosystem. Bezos wasn't beating competitors. He was studying them. And when the moment was right, he absorbed what worked. The body count was staggering. Borders, Circuit City, Toys R Us, Radio Shack. One by one, retail giants that dominated for decades collapsed. Even Walmart had to completely rebuild just to compete. Inside Amazon, the culture matched this efficiency. Meetings were lean and demanding. PowerPoint was banned. Bezos preferred 6-page memos that required thought and data. Emotion didn't drive decisions. Systems did. His most famous line, "Your margin is my opportunity." It wasn't a slogan. It was a threat. Over time, Amazon evolved from a company into a machine. Everything optimized. Fulfillment, pricing, algorithms, customer behavior. Prime didn't just lock in customers. It conditioned them. It trained millions to expect speed and invisible efficiency. And once they adapted, there was no going back. At the center was Bezos, part engineer, part strategist. Amazon wasn't just a marketplace. It had become the invisible infrastructure of capitalism itself. By the late 2010s, Bezos wasn't just wealthy. He was small nation wealthy. The awkward tech nerd was gone. The new Bezos was bold, jacked, and carried himself like someone who'd bent reality to his will. 2017, Whole Foods. Amazon's $13.7 billion acquisition wasn't about organic groceries. It was about reimagining logistics. Physical stores became distribution nodes. Traditional checkout was replaced by app scanning. Amazon had tentacles everywhere. News with the Washington Post, entertainment with Twitch and Prime Video, healthcare, smart homes with Alexa. One by one, industries found themselves in Amazon's shadow. But with size came scrutiny. Inside warehouses, reports surfaced of grueling conditions, impossible quotas, constant surveillance, workers collapsing from exhaustion. Critics called fulfillment centers digital sweatshops. Yet the machine kept running. Orders arrived on time. The system held. Regulators circled. Lawmakers raised alarms about Amazon crushing small sellers, manipulating search, weaponizing data. 2020, Bezos testified before Congress. The world watched as the architect of the everything store defended Amazon's practices with methodical precision. The subtext was clear. You've built something powerful. Now who does it serve? Then almost anticlimactically, it ended. February 2021, Bezos announced he was stepping down as CEO. No scandal, no crisis, just a quiet handoff to Andy Jassy. After 27 years, the architect was exiting like someone who finished building a machine and was ready for the next project. So what's he doing now? Space, Blue Origin, the rocket company he'd quietly funded for years. While other billionaires chased headlines, Bezos was thinking bigger. Reusable launch systems, lunar landers, orbital habitats. He started calling Earth a place you visit, casually proposing moving all heavy industry off planet. His personal life became tabloid fodder. His divorce from Mackenzie became the most expensive in history. She walked away with $36 billion and started giving most of it away. Jeff made headlines for a $500 million super yacht, so large it needed a second yacht just to function. The internet mocked him. He didn't care. Because here's the thing about Bezos, Earth was never the endgame. Amazon wasn't his masterpiece. It was his launchpad. The kid who dreamed about space hotels at graduation is still plotting humanity's next chapter. This isn't the end of his story. It's just where it gets interesting. If this changed how you see Amazon, business, and what it takes to build an empire, don't stop here. Check out our next video pops up on your screen. We're building a community that understands how power actually works, how wealth is created, and the patterns that repeat across history. Let's keep going.